Hello, welcome back. We are working on our next signature and it is going to sit right here. And let's go ahead and let's dive into this. Again, this is out of the 8.5 by 11, so the cut across is 8.5 and the height is at 8 5/8. I'm going to make a pocket down here. And obviously this is going to be 8.5 across because it's the same width as your base. And it is 2.5 inches in height. So 8 1/2 by 2 1/2. And then I pulled from scrap this pretty floral pink paper. And then I pulled from scrap this piece. I'm going to back it with some purple cardstock, place it through here in the middle, and then I'm putting this here, and where did my lace go? I just made it. I'll find it. But I'm going to put some lace across here. So let's go ahead and get this put together. I honestly think I've made 3 of those lace, but they stick to my hands and then I go moving around and they go flying off. So I will find it. Okay, we're going to come right in here at this corner. And then we're going to glue this in. Now, when you get digging into your scraps, if there's a color combo you prefer, change it. There's nothing saying that it has to be the colors that I pick. It's your album. And the same goes for the scrap pieces. If you have a scrap piece that you prefer that's already cut, change it. Or if you want to cut a piece out of a larger, go ahead and do that. This reverse side's kind of interesting. Just bits and pieces. I'm always looking for contrast, a color play. Okay, so we're going to put Wishing You a Magical Day. It's out of the ephemera. And I'm going to lower it right down because I know I'm going to be putting some lace up there. Now I've got to find what I did with it. I may have to steal a piece. I'll find it. I'll come back to it. All right, let's start working on our side flaps. We're going to have a big one that's going to come over, but we need to put these on first. So this is going to measure at 4 7/8 across by 8 5/8 in the height. And then you're going to come in here and you're going to score it at 1/2 and you're going to score it at 5/8. Keeping this score on the top, we're going to bring everything up to that 1/2 inch line. So it keeps that hinge on the top. That way it absorbs any additional bulk that you add, such as photos, memorabilia, papers, etc. I'm going to push back and kind of reinforce that. And then the same for the left side. This is also going to measure at 4 7/8 across by 8 5/8 in the height. And again, you're going to score it at 1/2 and you're going to score it at 5/8. And we're going to again bring that up to the 1/2 inch score line. push back just a little bit, and I'm going to have a gap that I did not want to have. Okay, so I'm going to work with this because I've already cut them, but if you do not want this gap, you need to go to 5 inches on both of these in the width. And I know to do that, but I was trying to make sure, anyway, it doesn't matter. Go to 5/8, or 5/8. 5 by 8 and 5/8, and then score at a half, and then score at 5/8. That way you don't have this gap, because the 1/8 on each side will bring this together. I'm going to deal with it on mine. Okay, so we're going to now put in that top piece. And this is going to measure 8 3/4 in its length by 8 1/4 in the width. And you're going to score this at a half and at 5/8. And this is going to come and wrap over the top. And you'll need to balance. You'll have about, I think, 1/4 of an inch here on each side. And again, I want that hinge to the top in the front of it. So you're going to bring this again up to that 1/2 inch mark and try and make sure that you're as even with your ends here as you possibly can. And the same thing, I'm going to push back. All right, now we're going to add some magnets down here in these corners. And I need to open up a pack, so I apologize for the crinkly noises. Now, come here. You don't get to do that. Does anybody else sometimes find these a little hard on the knuckles to push out? Okay, we're going to put one here in this corner and one here in this corner. And the reason I do this is if you only have one, as you pull this, I've noticed that people grab the corner, and in doing so, they end up kind of folding this up a little bit, and then the paper trains that way. So by putting the magnets here in the corner, then it helps the paper to remember that it should lay flat. That's why I do that. So let's pull these down, and we're going to put these on first. Looks like I'm almost an inch, maybe 3/4 from the edge. And I'm definitely in about an inch. Now, for those of you who did trim this at 5 by 7/8, just make sure that these are in as much as you can. I'm doing the same thing, even though mine did not trim that way. Okay. Now let's add some tape so that these will stay where they are. Okay. All right. Staying with the inside, I'm going to tuck this beneath. I pulled this out of the 12 by 12s. So this pattern piece is from the 12 by 12. And again, this was from the 8.5 by 11. And we're going to trim these as such. And then I'm making a pocket on each side, and they're 1 1/4 in width by the 8 5/8 in height. There is a scrap piece in your papers that should look somewhat like this. Now I've trimmed this because it was after a couple of features, but the back side is the green floral. So here, and then I'm going to add some lace, and then I cut some more flowers, and you can cut any floral combination you want, and I'm just going to put that here in the middle. And I did the same over here on this side. Now, if you prefer, because it's floral and you want it on the green side, this would be what you would be looking at. So that's entirely up to you. I kind of like the color going on here. So that's why I am playing with this side. Now, I have a couple of brass butterflies left over, and I am going to add them here to the flower assembly. Let's go ahead and let's get these put on. This is 1 1/4 inches in width by the 8 5/8 in the height. And I'm going to glue and if I failed to mention this before, please don't cover up your gussets. You can sneak up to it, but just don't cover them. You will not be happy with the results. Now these are thin tucks, so I'm just going to use a thin strip of tape. It's 1/8 of an inch. And that way you get to maximize the room available. I think I just found my lace. No, I think that goes with this. Oh, I'll find it. It's here somewhere. Okay, let's burnish that real quick. And then again, you're just going to snuggle right up to that score line. And then we're going to just be repeating the process on the other side. No, I'm going to start up here at the top. Now I'm going to glue on my flower. Be mindful of your hinge here. So you're going to offset if you're making a flower, you need to offset it a little bit going this way. And I used some little raised pearls for the center, and then I'm going to really goober this up because it's a bit arched there, and I'm going to just set it right there. Okay, let's get over here and let's do the same thing with this side. And just a little bit of purple pinking out there. These 1/8 inch spools of tape always manage to separate, and they just make a gooby mess. I'll end up taking it off because it kind of drives me crazy. Okay, where's my... Now, is there usable tape on that left? I don't know why they do that. Maybe it's just because the spool is so thin that what they use to hold it on. I'm going to save that because that has some good tape on there. And run it right along that gusset. And then this piece. Let's see if I have enough on here to do this. I do. Yay. And that's kind of the end of it. And then I'm just going to go through that same process. And then this butterfly. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the glue on here. Because this is open, this glue is going to dry clear, but this will be easier to put on that way. Okay, so this is what I have here. The magnets are fighting with my, I need to lift this and and straighten it out just a bit before the tape settles in. Okay. I'm still looking for this piece. Okay, let's close these up. Now, out of the 12 by 12, you're going to have this piece. And so that the patterns, when you cut them, you're going to cut left to right, and then you're going to cut left to right again. And that way all of your pieces line up as best as possible. Now I am going to be playing with some tape because I've got magnets here. And then I'm taping this up here again. Okay, I'm out. Do I have another one ready to go? No, hold on here just a second. Here we go. A little pencil mark right there. You know, as a crafter, you notice those kind of things, but I bet had I not spotted it, nobody would ever know that it was there. Okay, so then this is going to close. Now, for this here, these two next pieces are coming out of the 8 by 8s. I've got this leafy piece. Let me look here. So that, what happened to my lace? So I have all the appropriate laces for this. I just made the bloody thing. Hold on, I'm just going to do a real big search here to see if I tossed it someplace where it's not supposed to be, because otherwise I'm going to have to cut another one. I'll be, goodness sakes. Okay. So again, this is out of your 8x8, and you're just simply going to cut the corners or round your corners if that's what you're doing, because this flap was trimmed to fit these. Now across the bottom here, I pulled out this long sticker piece off the sticker sheet. There's a cluster of roses here that I pulled out as well. Here's one small rose, here's the mushroom, and here is a little fairy. Now all of those came off the sticker sheets. What I'm putting here on the front, I'm using this piece here that says Sparkle and Glow Wherever You Go. And we are going to make a front-loading photo opportunity. That's going to go right here. And then I'm going to go around it again with some kind of curly little lace that I have. And then we're going to put the lace here across the bottom. So let's go ahead and get those started. And I think I'm going to glue this because there's no magnets and I can get this done fairly quickly. I'm just got to be fast because this glue sets up rather quickly. Okay, we're going to grab our tape. I'm going to run it right across the bottom here. And I put these on early because I needed to figure out my spacing for this. That's why it's done. All right. Okay, this guy here is going to be magnet closed. And it is going to measure 8 1/4 inches across, scoring it at 4 1/8 by 6 1/8 in height. I am going to glue this piece on. And it's going to be kind of a bit scary for me because it's the front of the book. There we go. And then I took some blue. I'm going to flip one side and leave the other with the words and everything face up. And I'm going to go ahead and glue these. Because at this point I'm feeling fairly confident that everything will work out. Glue is a permanent commitment. Okay, now I have a decision to make here. My lace has a bit of an edge to it, so if I go all the way around, or I can go around. I think I'm just going to go the big way around. And what I mean by is that my neighbor is out shooting squirrels. I'm so upset. So if you're hearing that in the background, that's what that is. So upset. I don't even dare put feed out for them because we are so close that I don't want to bring them onto my property for fear that they'll travel over to his. So it's just not a kind thing, really. Okay, so I'm going to start putting this on. It's kind of curly, so bear with me. I'll turn this. Turn it again. I probably shouldn't have shared that. It's so distressing for me. I apologize. Okay, now I'm going to do a little bit of a turn here. I'm going to save. I'm going to cut this a little bit long. Whoops. And I'm going to do a little bit of a turn. And I'm using this, it's by Dritz, it's fray check. And it will keep this from fraying, but I'm also using it as a glue so that these two pieces will stay together. Okay, let me just hold that there. Oops. Now I have one piece left of the brass elements, and I'm going to put it right here in front of this purple flower. And it is the little fairy. Okay, well, I will have to come back and attach this later, so you're not watching me hold this together. Okay, open this up. I keep hoping I would find my other lace, trim of lace. Okay, this is out of the 8x8 as well. I even wrote on there so that I would know. I'm going to turn this up. This is going to go on here just like so. And because of the magnets, I am going to tape it in place. Now across the bottom here, we're going to make a little pocket. It's going to measure 8 1/8 across by 2 1/4, and it's just going to come sit right down here. And I did 2 1/4 because we're going to lose 1/4 of an inch with the tape. Right along the seam. And then I use the green, but if you prefer to, and I need to trim that a little bit, and if you prefer to use a different color, you've got plenty of scraps, so you can grab whatever you like to see better. And then in my bundled kit, I got some ribbon that came with it. And so I'm using this cream colored one. I'm backing it with some purple paper out of my scraps. And I'm just going to put it here in the center. And then I'm going to run tape here. I found it. Way over to my backside on my left. I've been sitting here trying to figure out where it went. So I think what happened was when I showed you what page we were working on, it picked it up because it was on the back side of the album over there. I knew I made it. And then from the chipboard elements, I am using this. Just something simple and sweet. All right, so that is done. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to add my lace here. All right, we're done. These are on there nice. These got your pockets. You have your big pocket. You have your pocket up here. These will close. If you want to add and embellish on these, like putting in a pocket, you can do that. But please be mindful. You've got some magnets down here and they will lose their strength the more layering that you do. And there we have it. And I'll fix this off camera. No worries. All right, let's turn it over. Let's get some tape on this. And let's get it in our album. Just ran out of tape again. Glue real quick. Okay. And this will sit in here like so. Second guessing myself if I had that upside down or right side up. Come on. Give this a good burnish. All right, another one done. Okay, we've got one to go and we'll be finished. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.